Tonight we bid farewell to a man who's been a beloved colleague to those of us who worked with him and a wonderful friend to the countless thousands who enjoyed his work. Pat Wilkins has been a regular here at Channel 2 since 1962. Over the last decade, our Northwest Journal man on this broadcast. He retires today, but he won't soon be forgotten.
A lot of us remember Pat as the serious journalist, for newspapers first, then radio, and finally television, where he moved through all of the chairs over 4 different decades, from reporter to anchorman to boss, news director. But since the news is mostly bad news, Pat discovered one could only take so much of it.
So turning to feature reporting was kind of a safety valve for me, and it was fun, and so I kept doing it. So I was able to stay in the news business.
Which is why many more will remember Pat doing things like this, climbing to the top of the bridge, or meeting the professional golf ball retriever, or trying out the latest local invention.
And I thought that if they were interesting to me, they would be interesting to others. And fortunately, it's panned out that way.
Looking back, he says it was always fun, and it was always hard work.
The idea was to make it look like you were on vacation all the time, and having fun, and people, when they respond by saying, "Boy, do you get paid for doing that?" or "How do you get such a cushy job?" then I knew I was successful at what it was that I was doing.
Well, now you're going in a different direction. You're going to miss all that, going around with the camera and the crew and doing all that?
Not for a while.
He won't miss living out of a suitcase. He will miss the people he met and worked with on all of those stories. As for his all-time favorite, well, it was when he went down in a cofferdam during construction of the I-205 bridge, 50 feet under his beloved Columbia River.
I almost get choked up thinking about that story. I actually stood on the bottom of the Columbia River without an aqua lung, and few people can say that.
And though he's leaving television, you may expect more stories from Pat. He intends to write at least 2 books. That after he spends a little time with the 2 loves of his life, his restored 1963 Triumph and his wife Clara, though not necessarily in that order. And we'll leave the story there for now, except for this. We asked Pat to tell us how the storyteller would best like to be remembered.
He was an interested observer. He was an excellent reporter. In a word, a wordsmith.
It's so hard to believe you're leaving, Pat, after all this time. So tell us a little bit about your plans with Clara. I know you're going to do some serious fishing.
Some serious fishing right away. As a matter of fact, it's been so long since we've been fishing that I almost forget that she skunked me the last time out.
But not quite.
You have so many stories left to tell. Are you going to take some time for, relaxation, or are you going to get right to the writing projects?
If I can determine how to hook up our new computer, well, I might get right to the writing. But right now, truthfully, it's secondary to kind of some of the fun that we're going to have. We have a gold claim down in the Grants Pass area that we hope to work, and we have worked it in the past for only a couple of hours, and there's gold there. So we're very anxious to get back to that. But the priority now is that I'm going back to school. I'm enrolled in the Lower Columbia College up in Longview in their body and fender work. And I thought that might make the car restorations come along a little faster.
Quicker.
You bet.
Yeah. Are you going to wear a necktie in retirement at all, Pat? I haven't seen you one in a few years. I just wondered if this is going to continue on here.
You're right. I am not going to wear neckties. No.
Absolutely not.
We asked you in the story, but I know you're going to miss traveling around with the crews here and sharing these wonderful TV stories with us.
Yes, I am. Indeed so. And Paul, don't make me cry.
We all know how hard you've worked over the years. You make it look easy, but we know that it's taken a lot of effort. We're really going to miss you.
All of the thousands that have enjoyed your stories over the years, Pat, have enjoyed one of the best who's ever worked in our business. It's been a joy to be your friend and your colleague. God bless you. We wish you all the best.
For me too. Thank you.
Okay. That's our report for now. We'll be back at 11. Thank you, everybody, and have a good night.
Well, finally tonight, a legend here at Channel 2 News is retiring. For the past few years, Pat Wilkins has brought us his Northwest Journal reports, but his career here has spanned 3 decades, 4 if you count today, because Pat had to work today. Well, tonight, we're taking a look back at the career of this very talented journalist.
KATU Channel 2, ABC in Portland. The big news on 2. California Senator George Murphy has offered his assistance to Governor Mark Hatfield in his campaign for the Republican nomination for the U.S. Senate. Oregon Senator Wayne Morse returned to this state today and continued his sharp criticism of U.S. policies in Southeast Asia. 16 hockey fans were stranded at Memorial Coliseum last night after vandals stole the batteries from their cars. Police said the thieves apparently went from car to car, systematically removing the batteries. Estimated loss is more than $300. First film has arrived in the United States of the funeral of the late Indian Prime Minister Shastri, and it will also be seen on the Jennings program.
Essentially, I was seeking out people that I thought would be interesting, and places that I thought would be interesting, and situations that I thought would be interesting. And I thought that if they were interesting to me, they would be interesting to others.
The sight of the goods, as Humphrey Bogart called it in The Treasure of Sierra Madre, is enough for almost anyone to give gold prospecting a try.
But I want my boss to know that I'm not moonlighting. If I was going to moonlight, I'd look for something easier to do. The idea was to make it look like you were on vacation all the time and having fun, and people, when they respond by saying, boy, do you get paid for doing that? Or how do you get such a cushy job? Then I knew I was successful at what it was that I was doing. He was an interested observer. He was an excellent reporter. In a word, a wordsmith.
Pat Wilkins, Pat, we wish you the very best on your retirement. And I know many of you who've watched Pat over the last few years, the last few decades, also wish him the very best.
Going to be doing some fishing, and he'll be with us at 6:30 as well to share some of his thoughts about his future. Good luck, Pat.
That's our news up to this hour, everybody. From all of us here at Channel 2, Jim, Steve, the entire Channel 2 News team, take care.
We'll be back at 6:30 and again at 11. Good night. We'll see you tonight. Thanks, Jeff.
Well, during his 26 years at Channel 2, Pat Wilkins has worn many hats. And now that he's only days away from retirement, we have a chance to show you the truth of that statement. Here's another look at his story on Hardhats.
In any sort of industry where there's a good chance you might get a zonk on the head, a hard hat is required. And even if you're a visitor just coming to take a look, there's no chance you'll be allowed to go bareheaded.
For example, on the Skookumchuck River, construction of PP&L's coal-fired power plant. Columbia Gorge, construction of the Harvey Aluminum Company plant. Columbia River, construction of the I-205 bridge. And then there's Platskenai, testing by Crown Zellerback of a miniature highline to thin small timber. One of the most notorious enforcers of hard hat wearing is the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and in most cases, rightly so. This hat represents construction of the second powerhouse at Bonneville Dam. But here we are on the Cowlitz River near Castle Rock, Washington, and here is an example of hard hat overkill, that is, overprotection.
The Corps has designated wide areas of its Mount St. Helens devastation reconstruction along the Cowlitz as hard hat zones. That means a lot of private property is included. Technically, that means the property owners must wear hard hats. In practice, well, take the case of farm wife Ann Hornstra, who was doing some salvage work of her own in a silt-ruined orchard.
Oh, well, there was a little fill of walnuts left, as a matter of fact, over there, and I was crawling under the ground, and the Corps of Engineers stopped and said, how come I didn't wear a hard hat? Didn't I know this was a hard hat area? And I told him, I says, yes, but did he know this was our property?
And did he?
Yeah, well, he let me go, but he said I should in the future wear a hard hat. I never did, though.
And even hardcore hard hat workers occasionally feel the need of doffing the headgear, risking a citation for safety violation.
On the other hand, the hard hat identifies you as belonging, a passport, if you will, to an area where you might otherwise be denied. Trojan Nuclear Power Plant, Red Zone Logging, or even the Cowlitz River, where I'm Pat Wilkins with another Northwest Journal report for Channel 2 News.
The hat he wore best was that of storyteller. Pat, you're just the best. Always were and always will be.
Hard to believe he's leaving. Good night, everybody.
Have a good evening.